There are major new developments in President Trump's continuing efforts to send the military into America's cities. Last night, a federal judge in Oregon temporarily blocked the deployment of 200 National Guard troops to Portland. And the president authorized sending 300 National Guard troops to the state of Illinois. This comes as the president's immigration crackdown in Chicago continues to escalate, with clashes between police and protesters outside of an ICE processing facility on Saturday. Also on Saturday, the Department of Homeland Security said a federal agent shot an armed woman who was among the 10 drivers that rammed the agent's vehicle. MSNBC has not independently confirmed details of the incident. Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker denounced the deployment of National Guard troops to his state, saying it is happening against his wishes. In a post on X, he wrote, quote, "The Trump administration's Department of War gave me an ultimatum. Call up your troops or we will." Joining us now to break it all down is Illinois Lieutenant Governor Juliana Stratton. She is a candidate for U.S. Senate. Lieutenant Governor, thanks for joining us this morning. I want to ask you about your governor's post on X, that he was not given a choice. What are the forms of recourse, specifically legal recourse, that you are taking right now to try to protect the city against the National Guard?
Well, first of all, the governor has made it very clear, and I do want to emphasize that we have a governor who is the commander-in-chief in the state of Illinois, and it's absolutely unacceptable and inappropriate that the president would say, here is an ultimatum for you as the commander-in-chief of the state of Illinois. So we will do, as we've said we would always do, we will do everything that we can to protect our people and use every tool at our disposal. We certainly will work closely with our Attorney General, Kwame Raoul, to see what legal recourse is available. But look, this is another example of Donald Trump trying to normalize the presence of the military on American soil. They use this term, the enemy within, and this is unconscionable. It is, quite frankly, illegal and unconstitutional, and we will fight back with everything that we have to make sure that we can protect the constitutional rights of the people that we represent.
Have you taken steps, though, to file some sort of temporary restraining order in the vein of what we've seen happen in Portland, where a judge actually has temporarily blocked use of the National Guard?
Well, we were grateful to see the decision that came out of Portland, and I think it just supports what we've always said, that this is illegal and unconstitutional and an overreach by this president, quite frankly. We are working with our Attorney General, who will, certainly make clear whatever legal action will be taken next, but we are looking at every single tool that's at our disposal.
Lieutenant Governor, I think there are a lot of people watching who see that yesterday afternoon, J.B. Pritzker, your governor, tweets out that he got a message from the White House about this. So sometime on Saturday, I guess, why was there not a lawsuit ready? There's been weeks of Chicago being kind of warned, I guess, from the Trump administration that something like this would be happening. We saw what happened in L.A. with the Marines and what one of the judges said there that was struck down. But still, the question of, and I've talked to folks in Chicago about being prepared as soon as something is happening, right? So you're not caught back on your left foot. Why was there not a lawsuit already ready to file as soon as this actually came down?
Well, you can't file a preemptive lawsuit. I mean,
no, but you can get the stuff prepared to file the lawsuit as soon as the order comes through. You can do it.
Well, I mean, remember, this is not an administration that is communicating with our administration. The Trump administration is not coordinating. We have been on the front lines. I mean, as you can imagine, our Attorney General has filed case after case after case. There's litigation that's ongoing. We are speaking out very clearly. We have coordinated as leaders here in Illinois. We came together and said this is not something that we want. But Donald Trump is determined to sow chaos. Look at what we're seeing happening. Illinoisans are being ripped from their families. We've seen children and women being zip-tied in the streets. So we are responding as quickly as we can to everything that is happening. And it doesn't mean that they're not already preparing and being anticipating. Of course, we've anticipated this because this is Donald Trump's playbook. He first wants to say, I need to get into Illinois and to the city of Chicago for aggressive ICE enforcement. And then when people react to it, we knew the playbook that he would then say, okay, well, now, look, there's chaos, and so I have to federalize the troops. But remember, he said he was coming, and then he said he wasn't coming, and then I'm going to Portland, and then I'm going to Memphis. This is a president that does not lead with any level of stability. He's not normal as a president, and he's not a normal person. And so we have to respond to the best of our ability based upon the actions that are taken.
Yeah, Alex, we have not heard from the White House yet about this. I did reach out, but we did hear from the governor of Illinois, J.B. Pritzker, who posted a statement in part, if I can read it to you, saying, quote, this morning, the Trump administration's Department of War, of course, he's referring to the Defense Department, gave me an ultimatum, call up your troops or we will. It is absolutely outrageous and un-American to demand a governor send military troops within our own borders and against our will. Pritzker went on to say in the coming hours, the Trump administration intends to federalize 300 members of the Illinois National Guard. This is something the president has forecasted since at least early September that he wants to do, sending troops, federalizing the National Guard and sending them to Chicago, whether the Democratic governor there likes it or not. The president doing the same in other cities. Of course, here in Washington, D.C., we still see a presence of National Guard troops around the city. The president saying the crime is low now because of it. Of course, the mayor here had somewhat welcomed that development in Memphis last week. We saw federal agents from the DEA, the ATF, the FBI go down into that city to try and help crime there. The Republican governor of that state accepting it, as are some residents. But in this case, in Chicago, in Illinois, you have the governor there saying, we've got this under control. We don't need your help. And the president seemingly going around that. But again, we asked the White House to confirm this. We don't have it confirmed yet from their end. But according to Pritzker, that is the conversation that took place between the Pentagon and his office this morning, Alex.
Lieutenant Governor Stratton, I'm sorry, like melding two very big jobs. DHS Secretary Kristi Noem was on Fox News earlier today and was asked about the situation in Chicago, and particularly comments made by Chicago Mayor Johnson. Listen to what she had to say about the mayor.
He's giving them air cover so they can go out and keep committing crimes. It's wrong. There should be consequences for that and for leaders that stand up and knowingly lie about the situation on the ground. This is a war zone. His city is a war zone, and he's lying so that criminals can go in there and destroy people's lives.
Lieutenant Governor Stratton, your reaction to that?
Well, first of all, the fact that she would even dare refer to an American city as a war zone. I mean, this is all language that is continuing this idea that, we have to send military troops. We want that to be normalized. And we have made it very clear, we do not want you here. There is no emergency here in Chicago or in the state of Illinois. And quite frankly, our city is not a sandbox for Donald Trump's attempts to play dictator. We've made it very clear that we have no emergency. There's no crisis. And the only crisis that we have is the chaos that has been caused by Donald Trump and his administration. So, we are going to keep speaking out, the people of the city of Chicago, as well as the state of Illinois. We know what this is about. This is just an effort to pit people against each other, to devastate our communities and our families. And Governor Pritzker and I, again, will do everything that we can to protect our people.
Lieutenant Governor Stratton, really quickly, when you look at what the administration is doing, how they talk about Chicago, how they talk about a lot of these other cities. When I talk to Democrats, they say they are hoping that whether it's protesters or someone overreacts, and then they're able to use that as an example of what they've been saying this entire time. Have you been talking to the folks in Chicago to make sure that, they don't kind of fall into the trap that the administration seems to be setting for them?
Well, we certainly have been making it very clear that this is a trap. They want
Yeah.
people to sort of quote unquote take the bait, and they are particularly coming after Democratic led cities and states. I mean, look at what's happening. And this is the president of the United States. And so what we are saying is that people should peacefully protest. And by the way, people do need to protest what's happening. I mean, we are seeing not just the rise of authoritarianism, we're staring it right in its face. And so this does require us to raise our voices and to use our voices as a tool to push back and resist what's happening. We also are telling people to know their rights because clearly this is an administration that does not follow the law. And we want people to videotape and broadcast and amplify the kinds of actions that are happening. I mean, look at what we had a journalist that was shot with pepper spray. We've seen children and women dragged out of a building and zip tied in the street, United States citizens. So it does cause a reaction. It's a righteous reaction. But I think that we also have to recognize that they do want to see, they are stoking the chaos intentionally because they want to be able to say, look, this is why we need the military here. It's unconscionable. It's unacceptable. It's quite frankly immoral. And we need to speak out, and we need to make sure that we do everything we can to protect the people that we represent.
Trump's latest stunt shows how deeply out of touch he's become with the limits of his own power. Nobody asked for troops in Chicago. Nobody declared a state of emergency. Yet Trump seems determined to flex his authority just to prove he can. This move has nothing to do with safety. It's all about control. The Illinois governor, J.B. Pritzker, made it clear that he never requested federal troops. His lieutenant governor, Juliana Stratton, called the decision unconstitutional, and yeah, she's right. Governors command their state guards for a reason. The president is not supposed to override that unless there's an actual crisis. But Trump keeps charging ahead, creating his own version of events that allows him to do whatever he wants. He points to this imagined chaos and manufactures it when there is none, just so he can continue doing what he wants. And the pattern just keeps repeating. It's Portland's now, but Memphis, Chicago, all Democratic-led cities. Remember Los Angeles? Trump keeps targeting them, not out of concern for safety or laws or rules, but because they serve his political narrative and make him powerful. Stirring up images of violence and military crackdowns plays well with his base. It gives him a talking point. Look, I'm the only one tough enough to restore order. Local officials have already made it clear that their cities are stable. The only instability stems from the president himself. This move is reckless on every level. It undermines state authority, fuels tension between police and protesters, and turns ordinary cities where people are just living their lives into political and sometimes protest or military battlegrounds. Stratton described it as a trap, and that description fits perfectly. Trump wants confrontation. He wants protesters to react so he can say, see, this is why we need troops, and this is why we need to crack down on violence. The strategy kind of feeds itself. Create chaos and create violence, and then be like, look, there's violence, we need to do more violence. It's this cynical loop designed to justify his own power grab. And beyond the politics, something even more troubling is happening. Using the military against Americans is not just bad governance, it's really dangerous. It normalizes the idea that dissent equals threat, that criticism equals enemy. That reflects a mindset closer to authoritarianism than democracy. At a time when the country is already stretched thin with a shutdown crisis and real issues that Congress refuses to solve under Trump, Trump remains fixated on deploying troops inside his own country. It's performative chaos, plain and simple. Governors are pushing back, courts are stepping in, and Americans are waking up to how far he's willing to go to project strength that he doesn't actually have. Trump claims it protects America, yet his actions keep dividing it, one unnecessary troop order at a time. Every move he makes to restore order only controls the chaos and puts it where he wants, and it exposes how desperate he is to manufacture these crises and make himself more powerful so that he can control the cities, control the narrative, and control all the chaos in the first place.